And we're live. I mean, with a 30-second delay. So you guys are going to see us in 30 seconds. But we're live for our side.
But they'll see us. They won't see us in 30 seconds because in 30 seconds
the little viewing thing came up. Now it's live.
I was like, when you say they'll see us in 30 seconds, they'll actually be seeing us.
Yeah, they're seeing it.
Liveception.
Yeah. It is streamception. It really is. So, funny thing, I've been growing out my mohawk, right? And then I forgot that because I don't shave my head anymore, all of my hair is like, let me show from under the wig. And I'm like, no.
You don't wear because you don't wear a wig cap, do you?
This one I have to because I have a really heavy ponytail on the back. So I put it on to help it grip into my hair.
Mm-hmm. I very rarely wear a wig cap now that I'm partially bald too.
Hi, Cool Gamer. Well, we're back. It's 2022, and we're finally back in the streaming game.
Oh,
yay!
It's been a rough year.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. Same on my side.
Yeah,
it's been crazy to say the least. So, hello, Steve.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, everybody joining from YouTube and Facebook so far. I think we even have someone from Twitch. They haven't commented though. So we do have viewers across all three platforms right now. Hello, everybody. So today our topic is going to be cyberbullying and trolling. This is something near and dear to Chibi Raincloud's heart that they wanted to discuss. So we're making sure that gets out here too, especially since it's a new year. We might have a lot more new cosplayers joining, or even people in general who deal with social media every day. And that's a good topic to discuss, is how to overcome those obstacles with cyberbullying and trolling.
Because I know it can be so bad for some people, and it's like obviously like everyone deals with it differently, but it can get so bad for some people that they quit a hobby, which should not at all be, the situation.
Right. And it just the idea of like social media and the idea of cosplay, just like, because before social media, like cosplayers kind of got picked on, but it was only when we were wearing cosplays like out in real life, and then you could just kind of shake it off because you don't ever see these people again. But every day on media, like showing our costumes and stuff, there's going to be a little bit of pushback, whether they're cosplayers in the community just being bad people, or if it's normies who have no idea what's going on and they're just trying to pick on people. Like, we tend to stick out a little bit because we like to be different. We're okay with voicing our ability to be different. So I feel like nerds do have a little bit more of a chance of getting picked on. I'm actually, like, this is a very dear topic to me, but like, I actually haven't really gotten a lot of trolling or any like cyberbullying at all until this last like 6 months. So I've been very lucky beforehand, but like these last 6 months, I've been growing my page a lot more, and now I'm starting to notice it because of my growth. And so it's kind of two things that go side by side, and that's why I think it's important to discuss. Because if you're trying to grow your page, or if you're just a cosplayer and you notice your numbers going up, you're going to kind of get that the reflection on the other side of, you're going to get that cyberbullying eventually too. And so I just think internet safety is also very important. I'm now a moderator for Original Glaze. So it's literally a discussion every single day. How do we make our page safer? So
also, Steve Jordan said he just shared this on his profile, and two of the
Thank you for sharing, Steve. Thank you
so much for your support.
We'll do our introductions real fast because it is a new year. We have new subscribers, and I can't actually tell who's new or old. On the back end here, it just gives me a bunch of numbers. So I'll start. My name is Sam from ThermoCosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2014. I am a Southwestern cosplayer, but I've been all across the Pacific Northwest, Southwest, and West Coast presenting at events. And yeah, I think that's good. You can find me on Instructables or my website.
Yeah.
We got me and Jinx here just chilling the casual cosplays today. I'm Chibi Raincloud on all my platforms. I've been cosplaying for a long time. I like a little bit of everything. I do lots of paneling and lots of photo shoots and kind of a little bit of judging, just the whole range of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. My caffeine never kicked in today. It's also 11 a.m. for me because I'm in the Pacific Northwest. So I had a whole early hour that I had to deal with before you guys. But hi, everybody. That's my 2022 warm up.
Hi guys, I'm Jinx Cosplay. I keep saying like it's been rough for me. It has been really rough. So, and some days I tend to be more lazy and catch up on all my sleep. So here I am. I'm in Totoro. I wish I could say it was warm, but it's not warm here. I mean, I wish I could say that this is nice and warm, but in Arizona it's hot. So I probably get hot. I have a fan on me right now. That's how hot it already is. And I'm having my coffee right now. Let's see my cup, courtesy of Chibi Raincloud. And I've been cosplaying since 2001. And I do all sorts of cosplays. I'm also based in Arizona, but I have been all over for cons. I've been over to England, and I've been to Dubai and Abu Dhabi for cosplay as well. And so I've seen cosplay in a couple different cultures, and it's been pretty cool too. So.
Oh, and I'm cosplaying Kisei from Bride of the Ancient Magus, partially in honor of the new OVA that dropped. So.
I'm cosplaying Totoro. So.
I'm Yen. Let me give you a hint of where that's from if you guys know anything.
That's like one of your first earlier cosplays.
This is the second costume I've ever made, and it has held up quite well.
Yeah, and Sam looks good in every hair color I always tell her, and that looks really cute in that color. Okay, so
it's being pale.
Matthew says, "Yep, I love this topic. It's terrible outside of the community, but getting beyond toxic within." Also, hi friends, hi. It's like it will never go away. We'll never have a perfect society where people's like, "Hi, we love you," everything. It'll never, ever go away.
Yeah, well, basically, I figured today we'll talk about like cyber stuff, and then maybe the next stream we can talk about convention, because there is this assumption right now that conventions should have absolute 100% security, and they try, but you're going to a public event. You're not going to be guaranteed to be safe. There's still exposure to the public, and you don't know who's attending. They don't obviously background check attendees.
Yeah, they can't absolutely screen every single one.
Yeah, so we can the next stream we can give advice on how to stay safe at an event. So we'll start with staying safe online and overcoming obstacles there, and then the next step will be let's do the same thing but in person.
And yes, Steve, I agree. If you could make me some coffee, I would love it. Like today's I've already had a latte. My partner made me a Earl Grey green tea latte, and it was fucking amazing. But I still need more.
Oh, I like both of those things.
It was really good. I wish I had more.
Yeah, so nice.
Is that a kombucha, Sam?
I haven't gotten into kombucha. I'm sure I'd like it, but I haven't really gotten into it.
I don't like bubbly drinks, so like the idea of kombucha is great, and that's Clear Mind, right?
This one's clear. This is Brew Doctor. So this one is Clear Mind, and I like Clear Mind because it's not like overly carbonated like most kombucha.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've done that one at work before. I've worked for that company before, so
that's why
I'm like.
So we're going to cover some sensitive topics. If there is something that you have a question about, if you've experienced stuff online and you want to know how to overcome it, you want to know how to block, you want to know how to use certain skills or techniques on different platforms, please post the questions. We are streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and we can answer the questions as they come in. So if you've experienced cyberbullying or trolling and you want some help with it, please ask, and we will do our very best to assist you. But right now, we're just going to talk about, let me pull up the little cool scribble you sent me, Chibi.
Show notes.
I sometimes get bored at work, and so I'll steal a piece of paper and just like jot ideas down. And so excuse my crude writing of me like on the floor, literally like against
on the floor.
This out.
Wow, you don't even have tables at your work? My God. Where are you working? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I work at Costco. Some days are busier than others. This week was ridiculously slow.
Wow.
But that gave me plenty of time to come up with like some topics to discuss. I think really and truly, I think maybe just like quickly cover some basic safety factors online that people should know, but I feel like aren't talked about enough, and then go into the cyberbullying and like how to defuse situations and best way to handle those things.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because we don't have a whole lot of minors, I don't think, in our groups, but there will be someday, and it's always important to discuss. I think the most important thing is just like location and age. Like these are two things that no matter who you are or where you are or what you're doing, you should just never disclose these things, like unless you're in a safe environment or unless like you're talking to a mod or something, like I have to deal with ages every day because I'm a mod, so I have to make sure somebody is the correct age to be within groups. It's always a very tricky subject, especially on Discord or YouTube, if you're discussing somebody's age. Essentially, you have to trust that these people are being truthful about their age, or you have to ask them for identification of some kind. No matter what, the thing that kind of drives me crazy as a mod is I see so many young people just stating how old they are, just going out there and being like, hey, I'm 13. Hey, I'm 14. I'm like,
Whoa.
I grew up in a different age because I was always told never to say what my age on the internet was.
Oh, same. I think
like,
not even your real name. Don't even say your real name.
Well, yeah, exactly. Don't use your real name. Don't use your real age. I mean, of course, if you have a mod or an adult who's working for a server coming at you and reaching out to you and asking you, hey, you need to be a certain age to be on this group. I do need identification. Make sure you know that this is a person who is actually is working for this company, is actually concerned that you're the proper age. And if you are a young person who thinks that they're old enough, even if they aren't, please don't. Just don't. It's
We've all been there.
Yeah. I know we've all been there, and we all want to pretend that we're a little bit older.
Well, and one of the biggest reasons to don't do that is moderators are in there doing this to comply with law. Yeah. So if you're lying about it, you could potentially put them into a lawsuit that has to shut down their server, and then you don't get to enjoy it, and no one gets to enjoy it.
Yeah. Exactly. So I always try to reach out to people and like, for Original Glaze, you have to be 13 or older. And I always reach out, anyone who's younger than that, like as soon as you turn 13, we will happily take you. We love having all the young people in our server, but until you hit 13, please just wait. It's very important for legal reasons why we have to have you be 13. We are not just a fun Discord server about cosplay. We're actually a company. And so that for us is very important. And then with that, the reflection is never, ever state where you're at. Never give an exact location. We always say we're from the Pacific Northwest or we're from the South Northwest. Like we always say a generalized area for our own safety, because even though we're adults and can handle things, like I don't want people to know where I'm at. Like it's not okay in any situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like I will say, you know, that I mean, when I'm ready and prepared for it, you know, but that's a different situation. Definitely if you're just kind of in it for a hobby, like never, always best case scenario is give a nickname. Always best case scenario. Like, or even like, you know, as like I usually, people don't even know my real name, even though I put it on there, which is fine.
I do.
Yeah, I actually met some cosplayers at Superhero Saturday yesterday. I didn't meet them, I know them, but I was like, hey. And then when you're in person, you want to know their real name. Like online is fine. And I'm like, hey, and these are friends, guys. So so these are people I know. I just didn't know their first name. I was like, I only know your cosplay name. What is it? And they're like, oh no, my real name is this. So, but it's always good just to go by nicknames most of the time. Yeah, I don't know what example that was, but
whenever I'm at a convention, unless I'm talking to somebody that I want to have personal relations with, or like a company that I actually would like to maybe make a connection with, I usually never give out my real first name. It's always just Chibi online or at conventions, unless, like I said, unless I'm running into somebody that I might be making like a company connection with, or be making like some sort of business connection with, then I might actually give them my real information, because it's like, hey, I actually want to keep in touch with you because this is important for my business. And then with that, another thing that I see a lot of people don't, I just think because it's ingrained in our phones and our laptops and our systems that it always just keeps our location on. If you're a minor and you're going to a mall or something, I mean, even if you're not a minor, like if you don't want somebody to know, like turn your location off of your Instagram, turn your location off of your phone. Creepy people can easily use that location finder to find where you're going or where you're going to be at, or the locations that you hit the most. So just for safety reasons, like for minors, for sure, turn your location off of your Instagram or your whatever internet server you're using, just for your own safety. Like I turn mine off for my own personal safety, because it's not like I go around and people recognize me everywhere I go, but like, I don't need people to know where I'm going all the time, or in my personal life, if I'm going somewhere like a mall or a bookstore or something, and I just want to be me, like I don't need people to know that's me going to this place outside of cosplay. So it's just for personal safety, because there are still creepers out there, and we have to keep that in mind. Like the internet's usually fairly okay, but there's always going to be one or two situations where it's not. And so just for your own safety, double check where you're like how your locations work on your phone. Check how the location works on the app that you're using. If at the bare minimum, like if that's the only thing you look into on the safety terms and services, it's know how the location thing works. And if people can see where your location is, wherever you're at, because I think that is one thing that nobody turns off these days, but it should be something you should think about.
So I listen. I am a true crime junkie, and I always tell my niece is 11, and so I'm always, and she hears these sometimes. Like, we don't like censor things in this house. We're not like, we shouldn't hear that. I mean, I'm not letting her watch whatever, but it's like we want her to know what the real world's like, and so at 11, I didn't know this is the age they're all like trying to make friends and stuff. So I always tell her, like, do you remember that one podcast we listened to? So it happens. It happens, and it's always going to be the people that are like, it's not going to happen to me. It will. If you say that, it will for sure. So just remember that, like, it sounds unlikely, but it's always possible to happen, and it's always just better to steer on the side of caution. Because if you don't believe me, I will send you a podcast list. I'll send you a news article, because it happens. Okay, guys. So please be safe.
Yeah, on top of that too, Rob made a good point of whatever you post on social media is there permanently, right? So social media platforms do have archiving solutions, but it's still there. So even when you delete something, it's still there in their cloud, and it could be there for up to 30 to 90 days or longer. It depends on what their strategies are. I work in IT, and I know that, we delete things, but we have to keep stuff for legal purposes sometimes. And so you could have to keep that data in your cache for 90 days or more. So if it's sensitive, reach out to the social media place or take other roads, but just understand that whatever you post is there pretty much permanently. And so you need to be really aware of your presence online too.
And I feel like a lot of kids really want to nowadays. Oh no, Jinx!
Jinx just vanished.
This push for the trying to get. Well, hey, we got a new. Whoa!
Hi.
I think Jess accidentally tried to add Ambrose and then deleted herself.
No, I actually noticed I wasn't logged in, so I was like, let me just log in, because I'm not logged in on the browser. So I was like, how come I can't see certain things? And then that was so weird, right? Like, did I leave and she came in?
It just shocked me. I am not awake enough for that to happen.
I was
we just traded Jinx for Ambrose. It was fine. We're just like,
fine.
Hi guys. I'm sorry. I just came from like a birthday thing, so sorry I'm a little bit late. But and then like
I'm gonna log in right now. I'm like, I can't stand it, so I'll be back.
I logged in, but like I realized I didn't have the webcam in my office. So I was like, where's the picture?
It's gone, vanished. So one thing I will say with cyberbullying and trolling, you want to make sure that you use the moderation functions on different social media platforms. So like on Facebook, you can use the page settings, and it's literally called page moderation. And there are settings for blocking words or languages that you don't want to see on any of your comments or any of the streamed pages that you have. Same thing exists on Instagram. There is a setting in the advanced area called hidden words. And you'll go in there and you'll just type in the words that you want hidden to never show up. And what happens, hi Jinx. What happens is when you add these hidden words, or when you add this language that you don't want to be on your page, the comment will still post, but not to the public. So then you are allowed to choose whether or not you want to accept that comment.
And this is a really good not only for safety, but just for moderation of your page, especially if you're a cosplayer where your page is starting to get a lot more traction, you're starting to get a lot more comments, and you don't have moderators to control your comments or to go through and check every single comment that you have on your page. Having this fail-safe system to check it for you while you're a single person working on your social media is super important, because then you can make sure that you're not getting trolls on your page. You can make sure that there's going to be less language that you don't accept. It's just a really good way to moderate without having moderators, because that's kind of where I'm sitting, where I'm starting to get a lot more traction, but it's just me working my own service. So I have to be checking everything and making sure everything's how I want my page to look. And so having those systems in place really make it so much faster for me to just make sure everything looks good.
Something that like annoys me about Instagram especially is if you get more than, maybe it's just my app, but if you get like more than 100 notifications or something, you know, like it'll say like, oh, you have like 5 new comments or something, but you'll like scroll through and they won't necessarily pop up because it only shows like the first 100. So I'm like, I don't even know like what post was commented on. I'm not gonna like go through my last like 5 posts and see if there were any new comments. So like, you know, it's like, it's kind of, they make it sort of difficult to check in certain cases as well. I find that very annoying.
I mean, the whole reason why this topic came up was because of some experiences I've had on Instagram in the last couple of months. Because I have had some bullying and trolls, which is crazy because I've been on Instagram for like 5 or 6 years, probably longer now. Like I've been on Instagram since it was still kind of a small app before it was part of Facebook. And it's changed so much. And like I posted a video for Emerald City. It actually got a lot more hits than normal. I was really happy with it. But I had one person in particular who was obviously trolling. I'm going to assume that they weren't part of the nerd community because they had no idea who the character was. And they were just trying to arouse. Basically, they were trying to just piss me off. Like they were on there commenting about my body type, which is something that like, obviously I can't change. This is what I look like genetically, and I'm okay with that. And so like, it didn't really bother me because I'm okay with how I feel. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm comfortable about how I cosplay. And it was a cosplay I was confident in. So I'm like, whatever you're saying isn't going to affect me because this is a cosplay. I'm actually like very happy with how it turned out. I will say this is my fault. I have a bad problem of wanting to troll the trolls because I'm not affected by trolls. And so like, there's nothing they can say that's going to hurt me. So I tend to troll back, which is definitely bad behavior. I don't recommend it. Please don't do this. If somebody starts trolling you, immediately block and delete all their comments.
There's a phrase that says "Don't feed the troll."
Exactly.
You know, it's kind of like cats. Like they'll come back for more.
You have to be very skilled to feed the trolls. That's
exactly.
So it's not for everybody.
So, like, I was defending myself pretty well, but I had a couple of friends jump on and start commenting back, and then they started attacking my friends. And so it kind of became this feeding frenzy where they suddenly had more people that they could bully. And that is when I drew the line, was like, okay, this isn't okay. So that's when we proceeded to block and stuff. What frustrates me the most is the fact of the way they worded their language. Instagram said that they were not bullying. So even though I and like 4 of my other friends like basically reported their comments, reported their profile, reported there was at least 7 reports on this one person or certain comments on my page. Instagram deemed every single one of them not bullying and did not take down their posts or take down their profile or do anything about the situation. And that is because Instagram uses bots. And if certain keywords aren't used, the bots deem it fine and they'll leave it up. And so the sad thing about it is that post is still up. And though I blocked it, it's still there. It still exists within the cloud. It still exists. And Instagram did not deem it bullying behavior, even though they were commenting about how I have a small chest and how my small chest won't attract anybody. And the fact that I'm cosplaying a boy means I'm obviously a lonely human. And like, no, that's the way I present myself to the world, and I enjoy myself, and I look really great with a small chest. So
I do want to make a comment on a couple of things that. So when you think about trolls, you got to, if you want to, you can think a little bit deeper psychologically. And the thing is that when people insult other people to make themselves feel better, it's things that they find like maybe, you know, they're
like insecure about.
Yeah,
themselves.
like, oh, if I have a small chest, you know, it's like, so the things that people say about other people are their insecurities, not yours. Because obviously there's people out there that love small chest. I have a small chest and I'm married. So, I mean, you know, so there's, anytime anyone says anything like that, remember that that's coming from them, you know, like that's their insecurity. Like, I like chests of all sizes, doesn't matter, you know. If someone dresses up as a boy, I think it's because they're creative or they're explorative or adventurous. But people that are like, oh, this and this, well, that's your business, dude. Like, sorry, you know. So just always remember that. Someone's going to say something bad to you. has nothing to do with you. Because if we're gonna go into this whole like I'm not religious, but God created everybody for whoever they are and they're special, blah 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 blah. Like literally, we're not like cookie cutters. There's no possible way that every single person is going to be exactly the same. So whatever is their insecurities is theirs. And Ray says the trolls on Insta and Twitter are getting so bad. I can only assume it's the environment and it's happening across all platforms. And I feel like this is something IG really needs to tackle because like I'll post something and I don't know what keywords they're looking for and I'll get like 11 comments like promote it on which it's just yeah, it's just like stuff it, it's really clogging up like algorithms and stuff. I don't know, and I don't know how they're gonna do it. And then of course you'll get like a lot of the like sexy robot spam accounts that are like, oh, hey, sexy DM. And, it's just, there's just so much. There's so much on there that a lot of people can fall for. And it's sad because not only is bullying bad, but like scams and spam is really bad too, because there's a lot of people that, fall for it. And sometimes it seems really real. And I've learned to figure out what are spam bots now. So.
Well, and I think like as artists, cosplayers, you kind of, people seem to take that as an open invitation to criticize, whether it's constructive criticism or not, if it's just straight up bullying. I think that like when you put your art out there, people kind of almost take that as an invite to like share their opinion, whether their opinion is stupid or not. And, it's like my last reel that I posted on Instagram has gone like kind of semi-viral. And it's like the stupidest video, you guys. Like, please stop watching this. Like, it was just about.
I'm gonna watch it now.
Go ahead. It's a pair of shoes that I made for a cosplay, and so like as it got bigger, I started getting more of those stupid comments. Like somebody who was like, the shoes aren't the right shape, and I'm kind of like, where did I ask though? I can't remember where I asked.
But it's also like, can I see your cosplay authenticity license? Like, where did you get licensed?
This one actually made me laugh. It was in another language, and I don't know what language it was, but I translated it. So something that a lot of people were commenting on was how white my legs were. They're like, oh my gosh, this person is super white. I'm like, yeah, it's winter in the Northern Hemisphere, y'all, but okay. And this one, I've deleted most of those because it's my space, so I'm like, okay, like that comment's not adding anything to the discussion at all. I know
or to people reading it, right? Because it's like,
right.
We want
and
to
so like I get rid of them. This one I kept because it made me laugh the way that they said it. So I translated it from whatever language this was because I wanted to see what they said. And they said like it, they had like one of those shocked emojis, and they were like, I thought this was a mannequin, but then it was a person. That made me laugh.
Oh my god!
I told them that it made me laugh too.
I think it's both distressing and just to see where media is going, because I know now Facebook owns Instagram, and Facebook's main algorithm is whatever gets the most comments, whether it's good or bad, is what makes things happen. And so like all of these trolls and spams and stuff are basically bulking up the likes and the comments and stuff. And so that's why they're not really doing anything about it, because it's acting towards their algorithm, which is so frustrating, because it's like for us people who are actually using this platform, we're like, we hate this thing, like fix it, Instagram. But Instagram's like, well, no, because it means more people are using our app.
Yeah.
Which is super frustrating. I've actually been doing a lot of research in the interfacing and stuff. I'm not usually a tech person, but just because this has been fascinating to me and how it's been reacting. And like literally it's been like the last 6 months I've gotten the most comments and trolls and stuff on my social media, which is insane, because I've gone most of my cosplay career with none, like very few bad comments, very few bad social media reactions. Like I've had one or two, most of them have always been like some random person DMing me and just being a obnoxious DM more than anything, which I could handle because you can just delete them or not even comment or anything. But I've been getting so many more on my posts and the things that people see.
You know what's interesting is so the cosplay that I'm working on right now, I was actually messaging back and forth with the artist who designed it, because I just finished it, and she had posted it in her stories, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so glad that you like it, because it was her design. And something that I had said to her was that like I had wanted to make that dress for years. We were private messaging back and forth, so this wasn't on a post. But I said like I want to make this for years, ever since I first started sewing, but I didn't have the skills back then to be able to do it. So I'm glad that I was finally able to do it now. And this is the first time I've had this. There was a little pop-up in my messages that was like, hey, remember, Instagram's messaging guidelines, like you shouldn't say anything, like, I don't know. It was basically like how you shouldn't bully people or troll people. I thought that was kind of interesting. Like I wasn't like saying anything bad to her, but because I kind of, I guess, said something sort of deprecating about yourself, that kind of popped up. Now it didn't stop me from sending the message. Like I was still able to send it, but I just thought that was interesting that was a function. I had never seen that before.
Yeah. Why is it not more prevalent and active?
Yeah.
But I did want to comment
if that pops up in comments too. Because I don't
I've never seen
negative comments on people's stuff. So
this is the thing: is it only shows up for some profiles because it's a rolling update and they haven't hit every account yet.
But I thought that was interesting.
But I do
that was a feature. I had never seen that before.
But I do want to comment something that that Liz was talking about skin color, and it's insane. It's going to be about everything. Like it feels like you can't be too skinny, can't be too big, can't be too light, can't be too dark. It's like, what the heck? It's like everybody's gonna find something wrong with everything. Again, it's not there. Yeah, again, they're not like the good-looking people police. Again, everyone out there is completely different. Like, there's nothing wrong with her white skin, or again, and this is ties a lot into racism too. It's like, well, okay, if you're too white, then that means you don't get out, like there's a lot
or you're just a genetically Irish Scottish human being that if I go in the sun, I turn red, I don't tan. I literally am white or red. There is no in between.
Yeah. Or it's just how you are because
you just stay pale. You live in Arizona and you do tan, but it disappears in 2 days.
I tan really easily. Like this is the lightest I go, and I can go way darker. I think if I don't want to, I will.
A lot of bullies do pick on something that can't be changed. Your teeth, your eyes, your hair, your skin tone, that kind of thing.
That is what they're going to focus on. Yeah, I agree. They're gonna focus on things that are literally impossible for you to change. Like I've had people tell me
you're
several
too tall
times,
or too short, right?
Yeah, you're too tall. Like I'm too tall, and they're like,
"Well, damn it, Sam.
I'm too tall." And when they find out my age, I'm too old.
Yeah.
Have you tried not being too tall or too old?
Can you not, Sam? Like, it's ruining everything. It's ruining my life.
Have you even tried?
Like, and remember those things? It's like, how am I affecting this random person's life?
Well, and it's funny because like that person's gonna be going through the same thing or is going through the same thing. So
or they have insecurities about it because like, oh my God, I'm gonna, and here's the thing. I always talk about this like way back in the beginning of cosplay, not the beginning of cosplay, but when I was started in the early 2000s, it was a much smaller group, a much more niche hobby, and there was elitism involved. There was a lot of gatekeeping, there was a lot of stuff it still happens today, but it was very prevalent before. And I used to feel so insecure about myself, and this has obviously gone deeper than just cosplay, because I'm an Asian growing up in like a predominantly non-Asian space, but I always used to think, well, I only want to cosplay the characters that I look like or that I can resemble accurately. So I limited myself personally. I mean, I didn't attack anybody else, but those were my insecurities that limited myself.
Only one. Like, and this is something I still see a lot of today. Like, as somebody who mods for a bunch of people on servers, the thing I see the most posting is, who do I look like that I can cosplay?
Yes,
like, literally, I see so many mostly young females posting, who do I look like so I can cosplay them? And I'm like, I personally think this is not okay behavior. Like, you should never.
Well, and it all stems from insecurities. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It was because I was insecure about how I looked and how I felt. So always remember that like there's always going to be people out there that have those kind of like insecurities, like, oh, why is she cosplaying a white girl? Or, especially like the Black community gets it a lot. Like, oh, this character is supposed to be white. I'm like, well, first of all, they're like drawn on paper and pencil. So,
like one of my favorite cosplays of all time, Rom from Show by Rock, and he is muscular and tan and tall, and I am none of those things. He is still my favorite and one of my most liked cosplays I have on social media. Everybody loves my Demon Rom. And I love that Demon Rom. I put a lot of work into that. And so it's one of those, like, for people who still have the mindset that you have to look like a character, please be brave. That's all I want to tell you. Step out just once.
It is hard. It is hard. Yeah. Like when I cosplayed as Widowmaker from Overwatch, the whole time I'm making it, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I thinking? This is gonna be a disaster. And it's one of my favorite cosplay looks ever. It's like, okay, I guess I managed to cosplay as a heartless French sniper who's actually quite tall and has these nice little boobs. And here I am, like this brown Asian with a big nose and bushy eyebrows, and I managed to do it. I mean, that's
You
just
look so good.
thank you, but it was like something and it's not
as a
that's not for
cosplayer,
everybody. Yeah.
You can see how much love you put into it, and I think like that's people don't realize that the more love and passion you put into a piece, the more people see that. Like as an artist, I can always look at a cosplayer and be like, I know how much you loved that piece because I can see how many hours you put into that piece. And that could just because I have a judge's eye now from doing so much judging, but like I can 99% of the time look at a cosplayer and know exactly who built their cosplay and who bought their cosplay because you can see how much passion and how much time they put into perfecting something. And like that's why your Widowmaker is so freaking good, is because you wanted to do her so bad that you put a lot of extra energy into her. And like it's my ROM is so good because I put so much energy into building that costume because I loved it so much. And like just know that people and actual cosplayers are always going to notice how much passion you put into a piece. And so
that's another thing. So Rob made another comment: cosplayers that are older and like they're wearing helmets or something and covering up, and when they take it off, the expressions and the comments they receive, because there's issues with ageism, racism, and sexism in pretty much any hobby, unfortunately. And as cosplay becomes more mainstream, it is going to become more prevalent.
Definitely. I as somebody who's in this age group, now that I'm working as a mod, I'm getting so many young people, and I guess I was that 13-year-old that cosplayed at one point in my life too. So it shouldn't shock me, but like, I'm working with so many young people, and it's so different. It's a huge learning curve for me because I usually hang out with a bunch of 30-year-olds because that's my age group. Well, I'm a little younger, but like that's my friend group.
That's something else to remember too, you guys, is like not always, but a lot of these trolls are like literal children.
Yes.
So it's like, would you like take criticism from an actual child?
Or they're like, adults that haven't matured.
Yeah.
Like,
that too, which it's like, okay, well, you take advice
in real life. If a person who was younger or obviously not doing well in life, would you take criticism from them? Probably not. The only reason why it bothers you is because you can't see who they are on the other screen. So you're imagining them as or
they touch on your insecurities, which, I mean, we all have insecurities. We all do. The thing that we have to remember is that like, it's my insecurity. Like you can have your insecurities, even if they call it out, like it doesn't matter. It's none of their business. Like, who is this person? It's like, okay, yeah, we have similar insecurities. Like there's no reason, it, I know it's no reason for you to call it out on me. Like, yeah, I have an insecurity that my skin might be a little too dark, like, and that's fine. Like, I'll still do it because this is something I'm still working with and I've kind of gotten over mostly, but a lot of people do. And just because it's out there doesn't need to be like announced to everybody. It's like you have a choice, and I'm talking about trolls. You have a choice to not be an a-hole. Like when they're like, oh, well, I hate this. Like, oh, you posted it in a public, forum and blah, 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 blah. It's like, but you also have a choice to not be a jerk.
That was actually something I wanted to discuss is like, I feel like there are some people who are saying things and they're not realizing that they're being a bully. So like, I always tell people there's 3 things. Like, if you feel like your comment is in one of these 3 categories, don't say it. And that's like, of course, anything that can be changed: body, weight, hair, skin, nails, like all of that should always just don't discuss it. Don't talk about it. Don't cover it. Don't say something. If it's unsolicited cosplay advice, that's one of the biggest things that I have a hard time with. If somebody didn't ask for help or didn't ask for an opinion about a costume, don't say, oh, well, this is supposed to be a different length, or, oh, you could have done this with this fabric and it would have been better. Unless the cosplayer is like, hey, I'm working on this piece. Advice, please. Like, if they specifically state in their comments that they're looking for criticism or help, then of course they're asking for it. Right. But if it's just a cosplay picture, if it's just something they're working on or a whip that they're working on, don't make a comment about something they could have done differently. And
I feel like most artists understand that you don't offer criticism unless it's actually asked for. And it's not like you have to sing their praises. If you don't like something, you don't have to like it. That's fine. But like, if they're not asking you for any advice or any criticism, you shouldn't give it. It's not welcome in that case
And of course
necessarily, and they shouldn't have to like accommodate you in their space, like to, you know, try to not hurt your feelings, because oftentimes, you know, people well-meaning will give criticism or advice or whatever, and then the maker often feels obligated to, you know, they don't want to like ruffle any feathers, so like, oh well, like thank you, even though that made them feel crappy that you offered unwarranted advice.
That's another
And,
thing too.
it's really not their
I feel
job
like
to
you
like
keep
do
wanting
that.
to not ruffle people's feathers. Ruffle the feathers. Like if they've really ruffled, if they've made you upset and they've ruffled your feathers, and you feel strong enough and confident enough, post back and say, you know, that was offensive. I don't appreciate this comment. And if you'd like to continue to see my work, I'd appreciate if you'd stop doing this. And if they persist, it's easy. You restrict or block them.
Yeah, because it is your right to protect yourself.
Conversation. Yeah. You can always, my usual rule of thumb is I try to keep that stuff off of my page, and I'll just reach out directly to the person in private messages and be like, hey, this is how I feel about the situation. Handle it differently, or at least know that please don't do this on my page anymore. And usually a quick DM will clear anything up, because the unfortunate thing about social media is some people don't realize that they're doing this, or didn't realize that it was unsolicited advice, or they're actually a genuinely good human. They just said the wrong thing at the wrong time. It could have just been a bad day. And so like usually if there is something like that, I'll reach out to the person privately and be like, hey, can we discuss this? Because I didn't find it okay.
Yeah,
and 99% of the conversations usually turn out with a pretty decent ending, where it's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that that affected you so badly. And then we're still friends at the end of the day.
Yeah, because while people have the right to say whatever they want to say, you know, you also have the right to protect yourself. Don't ever feel like, you know, like, oh, I don't want to offend this person. Like, you don't also want that bad energy in your life. So, you know, you can tell them, like, if they genuinely made a mistake, you know, hopefully they'll understand and learn from it. But if they're just a troll, then they'll leave, you know, or whatever, because they'll see like, oh, they're not into it. So that's another thing that you really need to keep an eye out for. Gosh, there was something else I wanted to mention, but I can't remember.
Well, the third thing on my list of things to not comment on, this last one, is if it's not how you imagined it. Do not comment on a cosplay if that's not how you imagine the cosplay.
That's gatekeeping.
Whether you've made the costume before and you're like, oh, well, that's not how I did it, or it's a cosplay you admire and you were like, oh, well, that's not how I imagine it. Don't comment on that. That is your opinion, and you don't need to voice your opinion.
One of the worst things is like comparing.
Exactly. Never compare two cosplayers together, or never compare a cosplay and an actual like accurate thing. You don't know if that person's actually doing an accurate rendition. They might be doing a completely different rendition. They might be doing a modern version, or they might not have had the supplies that they could get to make an accurate version. For me, I always get a lot of like, oh, well, you did that costume wrong, but that's because I cosplay from the manga, not the anime. And so my colors tend to be slightly different, or the personality will be slightly different, or the details will be different.
For your own personal reasons. Like sometimes if I wear a blonde wig, I'm going to go different blonde because only certain blondes work with my skin color. So sometimes I forego accuracy for just looking or feeling better, you know, and that's kind of your own thing. Or maybe this is what I remember what it was when people talk about materials. There are so many reasons people use different materials or do different things. Maybe the budget, maybe accessibility, you know, maybe skill. They're not quite ready to use allergies. There's a billion reasons why people might not use a material that you would think of using, you know, so that's totally not your business. It doesn't matter. You're not wearing it, you know, so that's another thing that drives me nuts, is when they're like, oh, well, I would have used this. I'm like, okay, so go ahead and use it. You know, the other thing I hate is like I'm in a fan group, and fan groups can be the worst. They are the worst. They are so gatekeepy. They think they own the fandoms. I'm sorry to say that. It's not like I'm not trying to blanket fan groups, but there are going to be people like this.
There are a lot.
That are, and when I say fan groups, not like cosplay focus, but just the fandom. And people will post a cosplay, and oh my God, the comments sometimes are terrible. For example, Tifa. What do you think they say about Tifa cosplayers? And it's awful. I used to feel like when Final Fantasy VII first came out, I always wanted to cosplay Tifa. But of course, you know, I'm like part of the itty bitty titty committee. I was like, I can't do that. Of course, now I don't care. I've cosplayed her. But you'll see the most disgusting comments. And I hate also when somebody says, oh, your cosplay is the best I've seen, which is fine. But then if they say like, it's better than so-and-so's, you know, that sounds like a compliment, and I think they intend it to be a compliment, but it's not. And when that happens to me, I like to say, you know, thank you for liking my cosplay. You know, this other person has a great cosplay as well. You know, we just had different ideas of how we did it or whatever. Because to say that one person's cosplay is better than another person's is an insult. To say that you're the best cosplay they've seen, I mean, that's their opinion. That they think you're the best one, that's fine. But when they go and compare cosplayers, it's the worst thing. And some people don't know that that's an insult. So
you know, I've had that happen a lot.
Mhm.
It's really frustrating for me because I basically am like, I appreciate your candor, but that's actually very inappropriate. And you're essentially, you know,
putting down
you're
the other person.
and you're degrading
Right.
someone who also spent just as much time and love on this work. So instead, say, hey, I really like your cosplay. Don't say it's the best. Just say, I really like it. I think it's beautiful. Get
Or
rid of
your
this
or
notion
your
of
version is my favorite.
competition when it doesn't exist.
Yeah, or your version is my favorite, which is fine too. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you can
and,
have
like,
favorites. That's okay.
It's totally okay to like somebody's cosplay and voice how much you like their cosplay. Or for me, I usually try to, when I'm complimenting a cosplay, I try to pick on something that I know that they worked hard on. Like I'll talk about like, I love how you detailed that wig, or I love how you painted that piece. Something that I can see that they put skill into or they worked on. That's always a great compliment because that's something that it's like, oh wow, somebody noticed the energy I put into a piece. Or so that's always good, is to look at the costume and pick out, oh, your seams are so clean or something like that. Like, because that's not only are you complimenting the cosplay, you're complimenting the person's time
Work.
and energy.
Yeah, I like to focus on like when they have little knickknacks or props that really aren't necessary, but they do stick with the character. You're like, oh, you carried that book, or like I was at an event
Those are the
recently,
best.
and the character literally brought like the girl had printed like a custom oatmeal can with like this funny little label on just because it was in the game. It was funny.
I
And
use
like-
a mayo bottle for my Crim cosplay. It's in one chapter, but like I was like, I have to use that mayo bottle. Like,
Yeah.
it's my favorite part.
So for those of you out there that are like, because it's easy to like fall into like, oops, that's offensive. Like, and there's a lot of people that are still, you know, ignorant to it or not informed. Always say it's your favorite, never the best. Like, it's okay to have favorites. Like people say like I'm their favorite Moana, which touches my heart because that's a personal thing, you know, like, oh, they like me, not that they think everyone else is crap, you know, because that's not true. There was no council that's like, who is the number one best Moana cosplayer? It's Jinx. No, no such thing. But you can always say, oh, you're my favorite this, which is fine, because then that's my personal opinion, is that I like you the best, not
Well,
you
it could
are
be
the
more
best.
than just the costume too. When you say favorite, could be that you embodied the character more.
Yeah.
It could be you had a detail that they really liked. Favorite is very broad spectrum and
Yeah.
not
Very
as narrow
subjective.
as.
And it's not everybody cosplays the same way. Like there are some people that just wear the outfit and that's it, and there's some people that want to go full into character, you know, so that is completely different. It's how each person interprets their own hobby. But I want to read some comments because we've got a couple that we haven't shared. Let's see. So Steve says, I'm 49 and I still cosplay Star Wars, or something that I came up with, and people are just going to say something and I just laugh it off and ask them if they paid for anything I worked for. Very good point. Like this is always like the wedding argument. It's like, who's paying for your wedding? You know, if your parents are paying for it, they kind of make the decision. Guess what? Like, we pay for our own stuff. Unless you gave me money or sponsored something, you know, sponsorships are a little bit different, obviously. If I pay for it, I make my own decisions. I do whatever.
Honestly,
the F I want with it.
sponsorships are nicer than freaking trolls, though.
Usually they're like, yeah, just
sponsorships
tag
just
us.
come in and be like, "Can you just try using this particular paint?" Or, "Hey, can you seal it this way?" Like that's it. Like they're not even like they're very
Yeah.
constructive.
Because they like to see the different like usages of it. So yeah, very good point. That's another one, is like, hey, well, did you know, are you my mom? Like, if minors, like their parents bought it, you know, the parents have a say, that's it, no one else, you know. So Ray says, same with fan art that goes on the whole, you posted it publicly, so we have the right. Again, it's like everyone's choice to not be a jerk. You know, it's like, if you're going to say that,
job to keep our community safe. Like
Mhm.
it is
I would say that,
every
like,
one of our jobs to do what we can to reach out, to be there, to educate people on how to behave online.
mhm.
Yes.
well, you know, I would say that, you know, it's really not anyone's job to be like, it's not your job to be critical of all the art that you come across.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Self-appointed art critic.
if you want to add something to the communities or fandoms that you're a part of, if you can think of something, nice to say or compliment, I guarantee you that comment will make that person's day, that cosplayer, artist, whatever. Even if it's something like, I love the colors that you chose or whatever. They'll love that. And that's how you can actually add something to the fandoms that you enjoy instead of like kind of taking away from them. We know that there's like some fandoms that have just a terrible reputation because of the people who are in them.
You always can enjoy anime, but not be involved with their fandom. I'm going to say this out loud, like as somebody who is absolutely a huge fan of My Hero Academia. I love the show. I avoided it for a long time because of the fandom, and I didn't want to be part of that. But I finally sat down and watched it, and then I read it all, and then I read all the novels, and then I played all the games. Like I became very hardcore. That was my obsession for a little while. I love My Hero. I just don't communicate with the fandom. I just do my own cosplays, and a lot of the cosplays I do are my own designs because it's what I feel comfortable doing in the fandom. And it's something I enjoy on my own. It's something I enjoy with my like intermediate friends that we all get to enjoy together because we don't really want to be involved with other parts of the fandom. So you always, always, always can love a game, love a show, love an anime, love a manga, and not have to interact with what is considered the negative side of a fandom. You can always choose to block these people. You can always choose not to comment in them. You can always choose to just not be part of those pages. I'm not on a single My Hero page because I don't want to be involved with that. I don't want that type of social media. So I just have my own little stuff I post, and I'm happy with it. I'm comfortable with it. I'm very, very happy with my small group of My Hero that I have. And it's been a series that's meant a lot for me, just even though I'm avoiding a large chunk of it.
Yeah, and Steve says, you are right. Fan groups have tons of gatekeepers, and they are really just a waste of time. I just ignore them and go about what I do. And that's like across the spectrum. Like you've seen like how some fan gatekeepers have like affected the creators themselves. Like it's a huge problem. So, I mean, of course, they're going to dip into cosplay and other things because they think that they own the character. They think that they know this. Well, this is how my Widowmaker would look. I'm like, okay, great. Like, this is how my Widowmaker would look. Like, that's my thing. You know? So,
Ray makes a good point here that it's up to you to curate your own online fandom and experience. Yeah, and it's the same thing. Like, that's why. I mean, that kind of covers into like the in-person thing too. You really have to curate it. You have to build enough confidence in yourself and what it is you're doing to ensure that, like, when you do encounter an obstacle, which life throws obstacles, when you do encounter an obstacle, you have a means of defending yourself, or you have the strength to just walk away and be like, whatever, and with online experience, I've had so many comments and so many inappropriate things. Thankfully, I've had my language filters on, so they've never actually gone public. Most of the people have not seen what I've seen. And I just sometimes I just laugh and I'm like, what got up your butt? And I just delete it. And I'm like, what is wrong with this person? The fact that they wasted their time and created this synopsis of why something was wrong. And I'm just like, honestly,
creating the story in their head.
Yeah. To me,
best way to handle every situation is to simply block and delete.
Yes.
Don't interact with anyone. Don't comment back. Don't.
Yeah. If you don't feel like you want to, like, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Absolutely. I think that would be the number one advice when people say, how do you deal with trolls, is block and delete, because out of mind, out of sight. They want the attention. Otherwise, like, just, and you have to go and think about, I always think about like the person behind the keyboard. Like, what is wrong with them? It's not you, it's them.
Well, I've had some trolls and bullies that I actually know in real life. So I have to throw in on a restriction because I'll go to an event and they'll say, hey, I can't see this content anymore. And I'll just look at them and be like, oh, really? That's weird.
How strange.
Yeah.
And I don't have to tell them that I restricted them.
Just because you're putting stuff out there publicly doesn't mean you have to like take shit from anybody, Like
look at celebrities, right?
You get to decide how people interact with your stuff because you're the admin of your space. So, just block them, delete. Like, you don't owe anyone an explanation.
No.
If you felt that their comment was inappropriate, not necessary, not helpful, just get rid of it. It doesn't belong there.
Delete. And just know that if whatever they posting, like if they do somehow get a hold of your private information and they are threatening you with physical harm or violence, you can take that, screenshot it, and take it to the police.
Because that's now your physical safety.
Most precincts now actually have a cyberbullying and like they have a team dedicated to this, because people have actually been harmed because people are like, oh no, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. Like, no, as we get more digital, like we were talking about, like, you know, locations, that's why it's very important to make sure your location settings are disabled, or to make sure that you have your activity status disabled so people don't know where you are and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything can be used. I usually, whenever I have an interaction online, I usually save the comments for a little while. I'll just screenshot whatever the conversation is. So if whatever social media comes back to ask questions, I have proof of how the situation went. And when I troll, I tend to just be as kind as possible, kill them with kindness kind of ideas. So like, usually I know I'm in the right, but like, it's good to have this information for if something happens, if you need to go to extra authorities, like, the online is real life, guys.
Yeah.
I think we
It's not
get this
fake life.
idea that
A lot of people forget that.
yeah, but it's
Well,
real
you know,
life.
from an education perspective, you guys, since I do work with kids, I do have to say that cyberbullying is a thing that definitely is taught, but I think a lot like, you know, us older folks, you guys probably remember we specifically did like typing and stuff in school because it was kind of novel back then. Like, you know, people were starting to get home computers when we were kids, you know, stuff like that. A lot of this stuff is kind of falling by the wayside a little bit because since these kids grew up with the internet well established, everyone assumes that they already know everything about computers. So like none of the kids know how to type, basic stuff like that, you know, where you actually are supposed to put your fingers on the key. But it applies to cyberbullying too. While this does get touched on, it's not a very comprehensive education, which is probably where a lot of these new trolls are coming from.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you have the ability to be anonymous behind a screen, so you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
So we've got about 4 minutes left. If you guys have any questions, please post them in here. Are there any last like comments or bits of advice that one piece of advice from each of us, and then we can give our wrap up?
I want to mention, and this will be my piece of advice that Ray mentioned. Yes, stop that bad energy at the source. So there's this saying that, like, you know, you are who you surround yourself with, you know. So like I like to surround myself with motivational, inspirational people like these people on screen. So if you let that bad energy in, that's what you're going to be. So anytime somebody says something that offends you or hurts you, and if there's somebody important to you, that's a whole different story. This is a whole different story. But if it's a stranger on the internet that made some nasty comment, why let that energy in? You don't need to. Just block it, delete it, move on. Because if you do, then it is going to get to you. You know, we are only human. We are not you know, a certain like program, algorithm, whatever. And if you're not ready to make those kind of actions, maybe just take a break from social media. Not your hobby. Your hobby is supposed to let you, you know, you're supposed to enjoy it. It's supposed to make you feel good. And if I know not everybody out there is strong enough to, you know, combat it, then just take a break from social media. Go to your cosplay room or wear your costumes with your friends, your photos, whatever. Do whatever makes you happy, and, you know, take a break. And then when you're ready to come back, come back. But you don't need to quit cosplay altogether. There's nobody out there that says you must do it this way or you can't do it. Nobody. So don't ever feel like, oh, I'm not going to cosplay anymore. Like, you need to do what you enjoy. So find what parts you enjoy and keep doing that. And then stay away from the parts that you don't. So yes, that's my advice.
My advice is don't be scared to take care of yourself. Last year, I learned a lot about myself and about how I wanted to manage my social media. I'll say I'm very computer naive. Like, I'm learning now about a bunch of stuff that I didn't have or know. And now I have the grand Sam if I have questions for IT support. But I had a couple of people in my life that I trusted and I thought they were a part of my intermediate cosplay group. And I found out that we just didn't work well together and we were a very toxic combination. So I lost a handful of what I considered friends last year. I have also worked like on cleaning up my social media pages and making them how I want them. Don't be scared to think hard about yourself and about what you want. And it's okay to let go of things if you feel like you're not getting any growth out of them. It is 100% okay to be like, I feel like this isn't working. We either need to discuss how to fix it or we need to walk away. Because we are humans. We have that choice. We have a bigger brain. We can decide what things we need in our life to make us better people. So the kind of twofold: one, like, don't be scared to think hard about yourself and the people you have in your group and decide what you want for yourself and what makes you feel safe. And two, make a safe platform for yourself. Clean up your platforms. I've actually been leaning away from, so I've completely quit Facebook last year, besides just like personal page because I didn't like any of the social media. I didn't like the people that were commenting. I didn't like the reach I was getting. I felt every time I posted on there, I felt worse and worse. I just quit. I just walked away. I'm almost there on Instagram, to be honest. But I started Original Glaze, which has been kind of like a new spring. Like every time I post on there, every experience I've had has been an amazing experience. I've talked to lots of new cosplayers that are fantastic on there. And even though now I'm kind of working for the company itself, it's because I wanted to put myself in those shoes and I wanted to make the community better. So instead of just sitting back and going, oh, you guys are doing a good job, I went, do you need help? I want to continue to make this community grow.
Because you wanted to surround yourself with those people.
Exactly. And so I made the choice to put my energy into a new social media website and to put my energy into these things. And honestly, I've felt 100 times better about my cosplay life just by reaching out to these new services and putting myself in the shoes of making a better place. And so if you want to make a better cosplay community, you have to put your energy into making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. Guys, if cosplay or art, whatever, is the thing that you love to do, you don't owe anybody anything. Even if you're putting it out publicly to share, you don't owe anyone anything. And you certainly don't have to owe them your politeness if they're not giving you, affording you that same thing. I would say on the flip side, anytime someone shares a comment with you or a private message that is really nice, I would screenshot that and save it. I have screenshots from all of you guys, nice things that you've said. And, if something happens on social media that kind of makes you feel insecure, you go back into that folder and you read all of
got a happy demo reel
that your friends, your fans have to say about you.
Nice.
Because you want to listen to your fans, not your critics who you don't even know. And
yeah, there's no reason.
It doesn't really matter anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're at the closing point. It's a little past 1 o'clock. So let's do where everybody can reach us. I'm Sam from ThermoCosplay. You can find me at ThermoCosplay.com. And I've got all of my tutorials on there over YouTube and Instructables. And I'll be posting more tutorials this year since I just made 3 costumes in a week. So I have some content.
Liz.
Oh, hi, I'm Liz from Ambrose Cosplay. You guys can find me at Ambrose_Cosplay on Facebook, Instagram, Instructables, and Original Glaze.
I'm Chibi_Raincloud. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Original Glaze with this username. I think I'm also on Twitch now too. Never on social media though. But yeah, if you have any questions, if you want to discuss more of this, I mean, Sam's been really great about putting some safety features about online and some posts. Please go ahead and check out YouTube, Twitch, and our comments for Sam's posts, because I think really and truly this is a conversation that needs to happen. So let's talk more about our safety.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've just put in the chat, guys. We do have a Discord. I'm trying to get more active on it. Chibi is really good about keeping that going. So please join. You don't need to be a cosplayer. You just need to enjoy cosplay, is what I always say. You bring your friends. We love to have you guys on there and support us. And I do want to talk about, we are doing an event next Saturday. No, this Saturday. Let me just find it here.
It's technically next Saturday because it's next Saturday.
Well, I guess it's this coming weekend. It is the Ganbate anime pop-up. It is a car and anime alley. We are actually one of the partners, and we're going to be right by a donut parlor. Yay, donuts! And CosTalk Live, we're going to be streaming. And you guys, if you can't make the event, you can tune in and see, and we'll be going around checking stuff out. So come and check it out. It is an evening event because they have to do it after business hours. So 7 to 11 p.m., free to attend. Come on out in your cosplays, have a good time, have some donuts. I love Donut Parlor. The owner's a friend of mine, and they make such yummy, yummy donuts. So not only are you supporting local business, and of course, trying to get these events going. So make sure you come and check us out. Ganbate Pop-Up. You can find them. There's their screen name on Instagram. So we're super excited for that. And as far as, let's stop sharing now. As far as me, you can find me. My website is jinxcosplay.com, and my Instagram, my social medias are the Jinx Cosplay. As far as CosTalk Live, you can find us. We stream on 3 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch every Sunday at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We do have a couple
11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yep. And you can see on our Facebook page, we've got a couple of schedules coming up, so you can check us out there. Bring your friends in to watch us. Again, like, we love to hear from you guys. You can message us on any platforms and Instagram. We just don't stream on there. Instagram. And yeah, we love to see you guys every week. Thank you so much for supporting us as always. And yeah, I think that's it. What are we doing next week? Next week is sharing craft rooms, right? Mine will be clean by then, I promise.
Oh gosh, I'm like, yeah, I gotta clean mine by the
But Sam's like, oh wait.
I'm reorganizing mine because I did just do a workshop and 3 costumes. So
oh yeah,
it's
no,
dirty for me.
Yeah, I actually, so full disclosure, I had COVID over the holiday, so I was sleeping in this room for like 2 weeks. So it's a wreck, and I will have it clean by next week. So everyone stay safe, stay healthy.
And we'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah.
Well,
Bye,
and
guys.
Saturday, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. Woohoo!
Yay!
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.